Hello, my name is Natalie, and today we'll be interviewing Summon.
Hello, my name is Georgina.
My name's shijay.
Heck yeah. All right, Georgina. To begin with, most people know about Brown v. Board, but didn't Mexican American communities fight segregation even before the court case, right?
Yes, Mexican American families were filing court cases against segregation more than a decade before Brown in 1954, and by the 1960s of the East LA High School, in order to protest the issue of education because their cultures were being erased. They also had unequal facilities. Not just that, organizations like LULAC, which were formed in 1929 to help protect Mexicans against discrimination and racism in the United States, and try to help the 14th Amendment to protect their rights.
Interesting. Thank you, Georgina. Now, on to our next interviewee, Shijay. Now, Shijay, was this more than just about education itself?
Absolutely. It was a demand for bilingual education, for Chicano history, and for equal access to college. They didn't just want to become prepared for labor, they wanted equal access to the resources of education, and also, this was a fight for their personal identity and their personal lives.
I see. Thank you for sharing. Speaking more about labor, how do the farm workers connect to the movement, Georgina?
The labor struggle was found foundational essentially. From 1942 to 1964, the Brazil program brought millions of Mexican workers into the U.S. to fill wartime labor shortages. They were promised fair treatment. However, they were faced dangerous conditions, low pay, and discrimination. These injustices resulted in the rise of important leaders of the movement, Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta. Also, many were not paid or were told that they would get deported back to Mexico if not told.
I see. Thank you for sharing. Shijay, can you tell me more about the philosophy of Cesar Chavez in the Chicano movement?
Chavez was strict on how he approached the Chicano civil rights movement. Raised as a migrant worker, he saw how poverty and racism crushed families, so he believed deeply in nonviolence. And furthermore, for Huerta, her experiences from her mother also allowed her to believe in similar acts, and she experienced gender and ethnic discrimination. She was able to approach the movement from a feminist perspective, which diversified the movement. Furthermore, they brought national attention to the overarching issue to the farm workers' rights and challenged the notion that Mexican Americans were passive.
I see. Thank you for sharing. Okay, I've been interested in the use of protesting activism. Could one of you guys tell me about the grassroots organizing?
Yes, of course. I can tell you all about the grassroots organizing.
Thank you.
The Chicano movement was rooted in local communities relying on grassroots activism, such as school walkouts, neighborhood organizing, and community centers, El Centro de la Raza. These efforts help build solidarity and raise awareness of systematic inequality.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing, Georgina. Also, could you one of you guys also tell me about the land grant protest?
The land grant protest, to start with, Reyes Lopez Tijerina led protests in New Mexico to reclaim land grants guaranteed under the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. His actions emphasized how historical treaties were violated and brought land rights into the movement's platform. Implementó un programa para expulsar del país a personas de ascendencia mexicana, alegando que estaban quitándoles el trabajo a los verdaderos estadounidenses.
Whoa, thank you. I didn't know you could speak Spanish, Jay. How did this influence political theater and art, Georgina?
Political theater and art protests often included murals, poetry, and street theater. which blended cultural pride with calls to action. Groups like Tirero Campesino dramatized the struggles of farm workers, making political messages more accessible to the broader community and people who would show up.
Thank you, Georgina. That was very helpful. You helped me learn so much about political theater and art. Interesting. A little birdie known as a little Brazilian little birdie monkey known as Monkey D. Luffy has informed me that he wants to learn more about the anti-Vietnam War protests. Can you tell me more about that?
Of course. Many Chicano activists oppose the disproportionate number of Mexican American casualties and the lack of opportunities in their homes. The 1970 Chicano Moratorium March ended in violence and the death of journalist Ruben Salazar, a pivotal moment in Chicano protest history. To give more context on Ruben Salazar, he was a prominent journalist and he died on August 29, 1970, while covering the Chicano moratorium protests in East Los Angeles. He was struck in the head by a tear gas projectile fired by a Los Angeles Sheriff's Department deputy inside the Silver Dollar Bar and Cafe.
Interesting. Thank you. I'll be sure to tell my dear friend Monkey D. Luffy, the little birdie himself. As you can see, the Chicano movement has been influenced and inspired by many other movements. Could you tell me more about what those movements were and how it inspired the Chicano movement?
Yes, of course. So the first civil rights movement that inspired Chicano organizations was civil rights movements focusing on black civil rights. To start with, the Brown Berets. This was a Chicano organization that was directly inspired by the Black Panther Party. This inspiration took on things revolving around the community, such as giving free breakfast to kids and neighborhood patrols against police brutality. During the Vietnam War, Chicano anti-war protests, their shadow greatly reflected the Black Panthers' views on sending minorities to fight abroad.
Interesting. Georgina, how did this lead to the formation of student movements?
Student movements such as college campuses, Chicanos, Blacks, Asians, and Native American students form coalitions to demand representation in ethnic studies. The strikes held 1968 and 1969 through 1969 in San Francisco State and UC Berkeley were led by the United Front called the Third World Liberation Front. These students had successfully pushed for their first ethnic studies in the U.S., forever changing education in the country.
Oh, yes, I see. That could explain why a lot of our school is made up from Chicanos. Yippee. Very interesting indeed. Shijay, could you tell me a movement that directly collaborated with the Chicano movement?
Yes. Asian American activists frequently joined Chicano and Black students in demanding educational and social change. For example, the Asian Coalition for Equality, or better known as ACE, formed in Seattle in 1969, who worked side by side with Chicano groups to seek affirmative action and cultural recognition. These alliances had helped Asian American activists develop a stronger identity and platform rooted in multiracial unity.
Interesting. Could you say more about that?
Yes, I see that's why I'm here right now.
Ah, yes, I see. Great answers indeed. Georgina, could you tell me about how another... I'm so sorry, I'm losing my words. My bad. Sorry about that. Back in action. Georgina, could you tell me how the Chicanos took another movement for their own movement?
Yes, another movement that I can think of is Native Americans. Chicano activists had taken inspiration from American Indians. Movement and Native land reclamation protests. After the Native American protests occupied Alcatraz in 1969, the Brown Berets had followed their own symbolic land protests on the Catalina island in 1972. Both of these movements had emphasized indigenous identity, autonomy, and historical land rights.
Thank you so much, guys. That has been a pleasure talking to y'all. And yeah, bravo!